The game you're about to see ended in 9 moves, featured 2 brilliant moves, but what makes it so interesting is that it was played between 2 super grandmasters, and most of those games do not end in 9 moves. Let's take a look at exactly how this happened. So, white is Fabiano Caruana. He's playing against Alireza Firouzja in the Crunch Lab Masters Tournament. This is a 10-minute game with 2-second increment. He plays c4, which is the English opening, and after c6, knight to f3, d5, we're off to a normal game, and it's not looking like anything special is going to happen. He plays the move g3, and then bishop to g4 happens. Now, this is a book move, you can see that, but it's kind of a weird move, right? You're not really following the opening principle of develop the knights before the bishops, and you're kind of immediately putting some pressure on white. And if you do nothing, then maybe you take this and you mess up the pawn structure. But of course, white could just play bishop to g2 if they want, and the game goes on. I don't really know the theory here. But white plays knight to e5, which looks like a pretty natural move because you get away from the attack and you attack the bishop. Now, bishop to f5 and queen to b3. So one of the drawbacks of bringing out the bishop early before the knight is that you leave this pawn on b7 undefended. And so Fabiano says, okay, let me play queen to b3 and attack it. And at the same time, he's putting some pressure on the center. Notice the knight is hitting the f7 pawn, and so maybe in some cases, if these pawns somehow disappear, you could even get checkmate on f7. Obviously, the super grandmasters are not just going to let you get checkmate, but I'm just pointing it out. It does exist as a threat in the position. So Firouzja plays the move queen to b6. Good move, countering the threat on b7 and offering a queen trade. And you could take here and then black takes, but it opens up the rook, which maybe isn't what you want. The same thing could happen if black takes you. It opens up your rook. Okay, things to keep in mind. So what does Firouzja do? I'm sorry, what does Fabiano do? He plays d takes here, or c takes d5. Now, this just looks like, all right, we're just trading some pawns. We're going to trade some queens. It's looking like a super boring game at this point. Like, what could possibly happen? Watch this. Queen takes, which messes up the pawn structure, and then Firouzja plays a move which, at first glance, looks pretty good. Bishop to e4, because you're forking these pieces. And white obviously has to do something with the rook, and then you're going to take the pawn. And these are double isolated. I mean, it looks like white's position is falling apart, honestly. However, white played a very surprising move in this position. What do you think Fabiano played here? Well, if you had a chance to look at that, the move is d takes c6. And you can see there, it is the first brilliant move. By the way, this is move 8. And if you remember what I said, the game ended on move 9, which means the game is about to be over. Now, you might be wondering, how in the world is the game about to be over when we just started and white's losing a rook? What's going on? Well, if you want to pause again before I give you the solution, how do you think white is finishing off the game after this move, which, by the way, was played in the game? Well, if you had a chance to look at that, there's one thing that you should notice about this position. There is a pawn on the 6th rank, which is only 2 squares away from becoming a queen. Okay, cool. And obviously, of course, let me just point out, you can't take here trying to get the rook because the bishop is still sitting there and would simply capture the pawn. But you could push forward. However, there's a big problem with that. The knight's just going to move, and guess what? The rook is guarding the square, and you can't get a queen. And now black's winning, okay? But what you can do instead, and what was played in the game, is the second brilliant move, rook takes a7. And what I just showed you, the rook was the piece that stopped the pawn. So by sacrificing here, if black takes you, guess what? c7, and there is no way for black to stop this queen. You can't use the rook. You can't get there in time. You can't use your king because this knight, which moved earlier to e5, is stopping you. You can't go there. This knight can't do it. The bishop is out of place, and white simply gets a queen next move. And on top of that, your king is in a bad situation. You're going to get checkmated. Okay, you have to play like e6, try to run and hide, but it's a winning position for white. There's mate in 14, it looks like, from here. Okay? And if you don't take the rook and you do something else, like take the pawn, well, then you're losing a rook, and you're still in a losing position. Watch this. After knight to d8, what do you think white can play here? Well, according to Stockfish, the best move, and I'm not sure I totally understand why, e4, I guess it has something to do with bishop to b5 is the best way to play this, but I was thinking you could probably even just take here, and then get a fork, and you're coming out up material. Okay, so this is one way to do it, but if you really want to be precise and follow the stockfish route, you would play e4, threatening to go here, and it looks like after this, bishop b5 check, king goes here, d3 letting the other bishop in, and basically white's pieces are all over the place. So, game is over, and black actually resigned in this position after the second brilliant move because they realized what was happening. It's a fascinating trap. I've never seen this before. And when I saw that, Firouzja lost in 9 moves, I thought, no, there's no way. Like, how did that happen, right? He's 2,800, almost 2,900. And it's a nice reminder, right, that everybody makes mistakes. And even at the top level, there are particular traps and tactics that they're unfamiliar with, right? Now, I'm sure he'll never fall for this again, but it was interesting, and I wanted to share that with you guys. So congratulations to Fabiano for this amazing win. I don't usually cover games like this, but this one was really special, and I felt like you guys would appreciate that little pawn sneaking by to become a queen. So see you next time. Thanks for watching. Stay sharp. Play smart. Take care.